I killed my own reflection in the mirror that night, not with a bullet or a blade, but by staring into eyes that weren't mine until the glass cracked under my fist, because the bastard who'd stolen my face was still breathing, laughing in boardrooms while I rotted in his shadow. I'd framed myself for embezzlement to cover for the family that gutted me, swallowing a 20-year sentence in my 20s just to keep their empire afloat, only to wake up in a body that reeked of cheap bourbon and regret, swapped like a bad debt. And when that collar clicked shut around my dog's neck, unlocking not just a fortune but a curse older than the Chicago River, I knew the revenge I'd buried deeper than my regrets was clawing its way out, ready to drag them all into the abyss with me. The rain hammered the roof of my '98 Civic like it had a personal grudge, turning the parking lot behind the all-night diner into a shallow lake that swallowed hubcaps whole. I'd been parked here for 3 weeks, ever since the eviction notice on my last squat in Pilsen turned into a full-on raid by guys in unmarked vans who looked too clean for CPS but too mean for social workers. My name's Peyton Hale. If you care about the ghosts of what used to be, and back then, I was 28. Fresh out of a decade behind bars for a crime that wasn't mine, with nothing but a mutt named Jax and a backpack full of faded Polaroids to my name. Jax was whining in the passenger seat, his ribs showing like piano keys under that mangy coat, nose pressed against the fogged window as if he could will the downpour to stop. "Easy, boy," I muttered, scratching behind his ear with fingers still raw from scrubbing grease off plates at the diner. 12-hour shifts for tips that barely covered dog food and gas to keep the engine turning over. That's what freedom looked like after 10 years in Stateville, where the air tasted like rust and regret, and the only view was chain-link fences topped with razor wire. I'd done the time for them, my own blood. The Hales. Old money from the steel mills that rusted out in the 80s. Reborn as a real estate empire under my Uncle Victor's iron fist. Victor Hale, the golden boy with the Ivy League smile and the conscience of a loan shark. He'd cooked the books on a multi-million condo flip in the Loop, siphoning funds to bail out the family's Cayman accounts while the city sued for fraud. I was the fall guy, 22, fresh from community college night classes, interning at Hale Properties because Uncle Vic said family sticks together. "Sign here. Pay," he'd said, clapping my shoulder like we were in it as equals. "It's just paperwork. Keeps the wolves off our door." The wolves turned out to be the feds. And the paperwork was a confession I'd signed in a panic, thinking it'd all blow over. It didn't. 20 years. Reduced to 10 for good behavior. But by the time I walked out, the family had scattered my life like confetti at a funeral. Mom OD'd on pills 6 months in. Official story was grief. But I knew Vic's whispers had pushed her there. Dad vanished to Florida with a trailer park queen and a fake name. And Vic rode the wave to senator. Then back to CEO. His face on billboards hawking Hale Heights, luxury for the legacy. I didn't hate him at first. Hate's a luxury for people with full bellies. No. It started as a dull ache, like the phantom limb of a future I never got, college, a girl who didn't bail, maybe even kids who wouldn't grow up knowing their old man was a snitch. But nights like this, with Jax's breath fogging the glass and the radio crackling some talk show about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, it fermented into something sharper. Something that tasted like bourbon I couldn't afford. The call came at 2:17 a.m., my burner buzzing like a hornet in the cup holder. Unknown number, but the area code was 312 downtown. I let it ring twice before picking up, voice gravel from too many smokes. "Yeah, Peyton Hale." The voice was polished oak, the kind that echoes in oak-paneled offices. Elias Crow. Family lawyer since Grandpa Harlan's days. Your grandfather passed this evening. Hart gave out in his sleep. The reading's tomorrow at the firm. Grandpa Harlan. The old man who'd built the empire from slag heaps. Back when Gary was steel and not a punchline. I hadn't seen him since the trial. Vic made sure of that, spinning tales of my instability to keep the patriarch from bailing me out. What? No condolences? I snorted, but my throat tightened anyway. Harlan was the only Hale who'd ever looked at me like I wasn't a liability. Condolences later. He left instructions. Specific ones. Be there at 9 sharp, or you forfeit. Click. Forfeit what? The Hales had stripped me bare years ago. But Jax's ears perked up, like he sensed the shift in the air. And I found myself firing up the engine, wipers slapping the rain like accusations. The drive to the Gold Coast was a blur of taillights and overpasses, Jax's head in my lap as the heater sputtered warm lies. Crow's office was a fortress of mahogany and leather, the kind of place where deals got done with handshakes and threats. I showed up in my diner uniform, polyester shirt stained with ketchup, jeans frayed at the cuffs, Jax tied outside to a lamppost with my belt, because fuck 'em if they didn't like it. The receptionist sneered, but Elias was waiting, his suit crisp as a fresh bill. Peyton, he said. No smile, just a nod as he led me to the conference room. The family was there, or what passed for it, Vic at the head, silver temples and a Rolex that screamed old money, his wife Margot. Botox frozen and dripping Chanel, their son Landon. My cousin, early 20s with that trust fund glaze in his eyes. No one looked at me. No welcome home, kid, or sorry about the lost decade. Just silence, thick as the fog off Lake Michigan. Elias cleared his throat, unfolding the will like it was the Dead Sea Scrolls. Harlan's scrawl was shaky but deliberate, bequest to charities. A trust for Landon. The bulk to Vic's discretion. Then mine. To my grandson Peyton Elias Hale. I bequeath the contents of Safe Deposit Box 47 at First National, to be claimed solely by him, with the attached artifact as key. No proxies. Blood opens blood. Vic's jaw ticked. What artifact? Harlan was rambling in his last days. Dementia, the doc said. Dementia my ass, I muttered. But Elias silenced us with a look, sliding over a velvet pouch. Inside, a silver collar. Antique. Etched with runes that looked Celtic or some old-world bullshit. Sized for a large dog. And dangling from it, a brass key. Heavy as gilt. Stamped with the bank's logo. The collar was Harlan's. Family heirloom. From the old country. He insisted it go with you. Said it fits the loyal one. Elias's eyes flicked to the window, where Jax was barking at a pigeon. Claim it today, or it's void. Vic leaned forward, voice silk over steel. Peyton, be reasonable. Whatever's in that box, cash. Stocks, it's peanuts compared to what you've cost us already. Walk away clean. For old times. Old times. Like the summers at the lake house. Harlan teaching me to fish while Vic closed deals on the dock. Or the Christmas when I was 10, and he slipped me a pocket watch, whispering, "Time's the real thief. Boy. Don't let it steal you." I met Vic's gaze. Saw the flicker of the man who'd handed me the pen that signed my life away. Clean? You mean like how you kept the penthouse while Mom ate fentanyl for breakfast? Margot gasped. Theatrical. Landon smirked into his phone. But I snatched the collar. the metal cold against my palm, and stormed out, Jax lunging for my hand like he knew. The bank was a vault of marble and suspicion. They scanned my thumb. Harlan's paranoia extended to biometrics, and the box slid out like a coffin drawer. Inside, no stacks of Benjamins, no deeds. Just a leather journal, yellowed pages crammed with Harlan's handwriting, and a vial of clear liquid, stoppered with wax, labeled Essence 1 dose. The journal started normal, family history, Steel Baron lore. Then it veered sketches of the collar, notes on vessels and bindings. The old blood demands balance. One entry read, "What was taken must be returned, body for body, soul for soul. The collar chooses the faithful. The key unlocks the thief." I laughed, a bark that echoed off the safety deposit walls. Senile ramblings. But as I pocketed it, my thumb brushed the vial, and a drop impossible. It was sealed, hit my skin. Warmth spread, like whiskey straight to the veins. And for a split second, the world tilted. Jax's bark from the lobby sounded. Closer. Deeper. Back in the Civic, rain easing to a drizzle. I snapped the collar around Jax's neck. It fit perfect, the keyhole aligning with a hidden latch. Click. His eyes locked on mine, pupils dilating like black moons. And then, God help me, the air hummed, electric, and I felt it, a pull, like gravity inverting. When the world righted, I was staring at myself. My own face, slack-jawed in the rear view. But Jax's body thrashed beside me. No. I was in the passenger seat, paws scrabbling at vinyl, a whine tearing from my throat that was half-human scream. The collar hung loose now, key glinting on the dash. And in the driver's seat, my body, Peyton's body, blinked, confused, then grinned with my teeth. "Grandpa's gift," it said, voice mine but laced with something feral. Loyalty unbound. I lunged, but dogs don't drive. The car peeled out, leaving me, Jax, yelping in the lot, the journal pages fluttering like accusations in the wind. Word count, 1012. File 2. The first 24 hours in Jax's skin were a masterclass in humiliation, the kind that strips you down to instinct and leaves you begging for the mercy of a bullet. I, Peyton, trapped in a mutt's body, chased the taillights of my own stolen Civic through the labyrinth of Chicago's side streets, paws pounding wet asphalt until they bled, lungs burning with the raw efficiency of a beast built for survival, not spite. Jax's memories flickered at the edges of my mind like bad reception, sense of alley trash as home. The kick of a boot from some drunk. My hand, his hand now, offering scraps from the diner. But underneath, my thoughts raged, human and hot, plotting trajectories no dog should know. He'd gone to ground in the old Hale warehouse on the south side. A ghost of the steel days turned storage for Vic's investments, off-books condos, laundered cash, whispers of bribes to zoning boards. I got there at dawn, belly low to the chain link, the collar's runes itching like a fresh tattoo. The gate was ajar, grease from his fingers on the latch. Inside, the air stank of oil and ozone, crates stacked like tombstones under sodium lights. There he was, my body, sprawled on a cot amid ledgers and burner phones, snoring with the abandon of a man who'd just hijacked his cousin's life. Up close, the betrayal hit different, those hands, calloused from prison yards, now idly scratching at stubble I'd shaved that morning. Jax's nose twitched, picking up bourbon on his breath. And something else. The vial's residue. Sharp as ozone after lightning. I didn't think. I launched, teeth sinking into the meat of his calf before reason could claw back. He yelped, my yelp, high and broken, and kicked out, boot connecting with my ribs in a crack that echoed like gunfire. Rolled across concrete, vision spotting. But I held, shaking like a terrier with a rat, until he grabbed the collar, yanking me off. Easy, boy, he gasped, my face twisted in pain and amusement. Payton's mutt.
Huh.
Loyal to a fault. He examined the collar, thumbing the runes as if reading Braille. Old Harlan's folly. The essence, it's blood magic.
Pay.
Grandpa's side hustle from the Emerald Isle. Swap the souls of the bound. He meant it for Vic. I bet. Payback for screwing the help. But you triggered it with that drop. Now look at us. Trading places like kids with action figures. I growled. Low and guttural. But inside I was screaming questions. How did he know? The journal. I'd left it in the car. Pages spilling like guts. He'd read it. Planned this?
No.
The swap was accident. But he'd seized it like a shark on chum. He hauled me up by the scruff. Breath hot on my muzzle. Here's the beauty.
Cousin.
In your skin. I walk into Hale Properties today. Flash that smile. And no one blinks. 10 years you stewed for us, embezzlement rap. Remember? I was there. Signing the checks you confessed to.
But now?
I rewrite it. Call it restitution. You get the scraps, literally. He dumped kibble from a sack. Stale and weevil-dusted.
Stay.
Guard the fort. Or run. See how far Stray gets. He left me there.
Doorschlemming.
Tires squealing into the gray morning. I tore into the kibble. Shame burning hotter than hunger. Then nosed the journal from the glove box he'd left ajar. Pages stuck with dew. But Harlan's words swam up. The binding holds one cycle, moon to moon. Reverse with will and the key. But only if the thief repents. Else. It claims both. A month. That's all I had before this fur trap became permanent. Souls dissolving into the wrong vessels like ink in water. I paced the warehouse. Jax's body wiry and tireless. Mind-racing circuits no animal brain was wired for. Revenge? It crystallized then, sharp as the key in my paw. Not just getting my body back, making them pay. Vic first, for the frame. Then Margot, who'd testified against me at trial, perjuring that I'd always been unstable. Landon, the heir who'd partied through my appeals fund. The whole rotten Hale tree. Branches lopped one by one. But dogs don't do nuance. I needed leverage. The warehouse was a gold mine. Files on Vic's slush funds. Photos of councilmen in compromising poses, girls half their age. Lines of coke on marble vanities. I couldn't read them all. Not with paws and a snout. But I memorized scents. Hid snapshots in Jax's old bedding. By nightfall, I was slipping out, a shadow on 4 legs, trailing my body's exhaust to the Gold Coast penthouse. Vic's place was a fortress of glass and steel, doorman in livery who barely glanced at a stray slinking past during shift change. Elevators hummed like judgment, depositing me at the 42nd floor. The door was coded, but Jax's nose found the service hatch, loose screw. Forgotten maintenance. Inside, the kitchen gleamed sterile. Marble counters veined like lies. Voices from the study, Vic. Margot.
And Me.
My body. Holding court. The board's eating it up. Uncle. Peyton's rehabbed. Charming the pants off investors. Laughter. Mine but oily. Vic's rumble. Good. Harlan's box. Empty. No loose ends.
Clean.
Just the dog collar. Harmless. I crept closer. Heart. Jax's heart, thudding. Margot's heels clicked. And the real Peyton, if he shows, won't. He's dust. Or a stray. Either way, problem solved.
Dust.
The word landed like a slap. I nosed the door ajar. Sliver of light spilling. There, Vic at the desk. My body lounging opposite. Margot pouring scotch.
Opportunity.
On the sideboard, Vic's phone unlocked. Ego's gift. I lunged, jaws clamping the device, bolting for the balcony before they registered the blur. Shouts erupted. The mutt.
Get it.
Glass doors shattered under my momentum. Phone tumbling into the void below. A silver comet arcing toward the Chicago River. Sirens would come, Vic's panic button, but the data was gone. Texts to mistresses. Wire transfers to shells. Plummeting to exposure. They cornered me on the balcony. Rain lashing anew. Vic with a golf club. Margot shrieking. My body, Jax in my skin, grinning like he'd won the lottery. Bad dog, he taunted, raising the club. I didn't flinch. Dogs don't. But Peyton did, leapt, not away, but at him, jaws for the throat. He swung wild, club glancing off shoulder, and we tumbled, a tangle of fur and flesh, over the edge into nothing.
No.
He twisted at the last second, flailing for the railing. My weight, Jax's weight dragging. We hung there, suspended, city lights blurring below. Let go, he gasped, my face contorted in terror. Never. I bit down, holding fast, and whispered in my mind, this is for Mom. But he laughed. Manic. You think this ends me? The swap's just the start.
Pay.
Harlan's secret? He didn't build the empire, he stole it. From immigrants he swapped out. Bodies piled in the mills. The collar's his confession. You're the monster now. The railing groaned. Sirens wailed closer. And as we teetered, the twist hit, whose hand slipped first. We didn't fall. Not that night. The doorman hauled us up like a pair of drunks from a bar fight, me. The hero dog who'd saved the family pet from a suicidal plunge, according to the spin Vic's PR machine churned out by breakfast. My body, piloted by Jax's feral cunning, milked it, posing for the local news with a bandaged arm and a tearful soundbite. Peyton's pup. Loyal to the end. The phone? Fished from the river. Scrubbed clean by techs on Vic's peril. Loose and tied.
But the knot chafed.
I woke in a kennel at the vet's. Colliery fastened like a joke from hell. For drip numbing the ache in my haunches. Harlan's journal was gone, confiscated as evidence in the incident, but its poison lingered, seeping into dreams where bodies swapped like shells in a con game. Souls shuffling until no one knew whose sins they carried. Jax's instincts warred with my rage, the urge to curl and submit versus the itch to burn it all down. I chose fire. Escape was child's play for a dog with a man's grudge. The lock was a padlock. Cheap, I worked it with paws and teeth until dawn. Then ghosted into the pre-dawn fog. Heading not for the warehouse, but the old lake house up in Michigan, Harlan's retreat. Shuddered since his death. If the journal was right, the essence had an antidote there, In the root cellar where Grandpa brewed his medicinals. More magic? Bullshit. But in Jax's skin,
Bullshit was my baseline.
the drive was a nightmare, hitching rides in truck beds, dodging animal control with growls that sounded too human. 2 days of dodging. Scavenging from dumpsters behind Ticarius in Gary, where the air still smelled of molten regret. Jax's nose led me true, scents of pine and lake rot, the crunch of gravel under pads that weren't mine. The house loomed like a forgotten postcard, Victorian skeleton, paint peeling like scabs, dock rotting into the water.
Inside.
Dust motes danced in shafts of light, furniture swathed in sheets like ghosts at a wake. The cellar door creaked under my shoulder, stairs descending into damp earth that reeked of peat and secrets. Shelves sagged with jars, herbs, tinctures, labels in Harlan's spidery hand. Reversal serum for the bound. There, amid cobwebs, a twin vial. Crimson this time. Stopper intact. But voices upstairs froze me. Footsteps. Heavy Vicks loafers. And lighter, Landon sneakers. They tracked me? Or the collar's hum. A beacon? Told you the mutt bolted. Landon whined. Rifling drawers. Probably halfway to Wisconsin by now. Vic sigh. Weary king. Harlan's nonsense ends here. The collar's in the safe.
Key 2.
If Pay's soul's in that dog. We put it down. Quietly, my hackles rose. A snarl building. They were here for the kill shot, tying off the loose thread before it unraveled the empire. I nosed the vial free, glass cool against tongue. But shattering it now meant game over, no swap back. Hide it? No time. I swallowed the serum whole, shards and all, the burn racing down like liquid fire, rewriting nerves on the fly. Upstairs. Chaos. I exploded from the cellar. A blur of teeth and fury, slamming into Landon's knees. He crumpled, yelping, phone skittering across floorboards. Vic swung a poker from the hearth, missed, embedding in the wall. Shoot it, you idiot. Landon fumbled for his piece, a compact Glock. Air's toy from Daddy's range days. I circled. Jax's speed a blur. Mind calculating angles like a pool shark. Controversial? Hell. I'd end a cousin to reclaim my skin. But the serum hit then, world inverting again. Slower this time. Colors bleeding as souls tugged like taffy. Mid-leap, for Landon's throat, the swap yanked. I landed human, naked and gasping on the rug, shards of glass working out of my throat like accusations. Landon stared, gun loose in his hand, eyes wide-eyed.
Me?
No, at the dog, now empty-eyed, collapsing in a heap. Payton. Vic's voice cracked, poker clattering. How? I coughed blood, tasting iron and victory. Grandpa's gift. Round 2. My hands flexed, fingers long and scarred from yards I'd never see again. The journal's truth burned. Harlan hadn't just built, he'd unbound. Immigrants in the mills, souls swapped to willing workers, bodies discarded in the Calumet. Vic knew. Expanded it, shell companies trafficking not just money, but lives. I'd borne the embezzlement fall to cover a murder, a whistleblower, swapped and drowned, books fudged to look like suicide.
Now.
In my skin, I was the ghost returned. Landon's gun trembled. Dad said you were dead. Or crazy. Crazy keeps you alive. I lunged, Not for the gun, but his throat. Human hands closing like vices. Controversial? Family's fair game when they frame you for fratricide. He gurgled, eyes bulging. But Vic was on me. Fists raining, old man's haymakers. Fueled by fear. We scrapped like alley cats, furniture splintering, until I pinned him against the window, like glittering below like shattered glass. The empire's built on graves.
Vic.
Yours next. He spat blood. Grin feral. You think you're clean? Harlan chose you because you're like us. The swap, it's in the blood. You feel it, don't you? The hunger. I did. The serum hadn't just reversed, it amplified. Jax's loyalty twisted into something darker. A compulsion to bind. To steal. My grip tightened, glass cracking under his back. One push, and he'd join the whistleblower in the depths. But sirens, Landon's phone. Auto dial. Time up. I released, grabbing the poker instead, smashing the safe open. Collar and key inside.
Runes pulsing.
I snapped it on around my own neck this time. Key turning with a sigh like wind through ruins. The pull came, but I fought it, willing not a swap but a severance. Souls don't unbind easy. It tore, like ripping seams from flesh. Vic slumped, eyes glazing, not dead, but hollowed. The cunning leached out. Landon retched, gun forgotten. I fled into the woods, collar scorching, the hail beast howling behind. Revenge tasted like ash, half won, half curse. But the real high point? Watching their world crack from the shadows. The collar burned for a week straight, a brand that woke me sweating in motels off I-94. Jax's empty body buried shallow under lake house pines like a secret I'd never unbury. I'd hot-wired a truck from the drive, some salesman's Beamer, left for dead after a bender, and pushed north to the UP, where cell signals died and hails were just a punchline in dive bars. My skin felt foreign now, too loose in places, too tight in others, like wearing a suit tailored for a stranger. The serum's echo lingered, flashes of sense too sharp, urges to chase cars or mark territory. Human again, but laced with the beast. Vic survived the drop, broken ribs, a concussion that slurred his boardroom baritone, but the scandal bloomed like oil on water. Landon's 911 call, garbled with panic, painted a picture of intruder at the lake house. But forensics pulled the safe's prints, mine, resurrected. The phone from the river? Recovered fragments pinged to Vic servers. Emails to disposal experts in Gary. Feds circled. Headline screamed, Hail Empire crumbles. Fraud. Trafficking ring exposed. I watched it unfold from a booth in a Marquette greasy spoon. Burner laptop humming on Formica. Jax's collar tucked in my jacket like a talisman. Controversial decisions? I'd started the dominoes. But each fall begged the question, was I Avenger or Accelerant? The whistleblower's family, undocumented polls. Like Harlan's first swaps, sent anonymous tips via dark web drops I'd seeded from the warehouse files. Poetic. Maybe. Or just settling debts with interest. But the twist gnawed deepest. Harlan's words looping like a bad trip. The thief repents. Or it claims both. Vic called on day 5. Voice a rasp over scrambled line. Peyton. Meet me. The point. Midnight. End this. The point. Family pier at the lake house, where Harlan taught me knots and lies. I went, truck idling in the tree lane, collar humming warning. Vic waited alone, crutch under one arm, the other cradling a flask. Moonlight silvered the water, turning waves to mercury. "You look good, kid," he said. No smile. "Clean."
Fuck you.
But I stepped closer, the air thick with peat and unfinished business. He tossed the flask, bourbon, top shelf. "Truce? For Harlan." I drank, fire chasing the chill. "Truce? You stole my life." "Mom's." "The bodies in the calumet. How many?"
Vic.
"Swapped like faulty parts." His laugh was wet.
Broken.
"Hundreds." "Harlan's recipe. I perfected it. Elites in fresh skins. The unwanted. Repurposed." "You signed the books."
Pay.
Knew the numbers didn't add up. Lied on the stand. Called me unstable. Margot's ghost between us.
She did.
For Landon. Family. Right? He leaned on the rail, eyes on the dark water. "The collar. Harlan meant it for me. Caught me mid-swap. Some union boss in '09. But you triggered it pure. Loyal blood." The hum spiked, runes glowing faint. "What's the play here?" "Cops. Confession." He pulled a recorder from his coat, playing back. His voice, damning, detailing the ring, dates, names, the essence sourced from black market labs.
For you.
Insurance. "Feds get this if I don't walk."
Why?
"Because you're the Hale now. Empire's yours if you want it. Clean slate, donations, reforms. Or burn it." He offered a thumb drive, heavy with deeds,
Codes.
The decision hung, controversial as a loaded gun. Rebuild on graves. Or torch it all. I took the drive. But the collar tightened. Serum's curse whispering, "Bind him. Take it all." Jax's instinct surged, hands itching to snap it on Vic. "Swap us final, me in power, him in dust." Revenge's climax, pure and dark. But I saw it then. The reversal. Harlan hadn't cursed us. He'd freed the bound, one thief at a time. Vic, hollowed by the lake house fight, wasn't scheming, he was repenting, offering the key to unmake the monster. I hurled the collar into the lake, runes sizzling on impact, the hum dying like a sigh. "It's done." He nodded, flask to lips.
Good.
"Now live.
Pay.
Or don't." That's the real revenge. Dawn broke as I drove south. Thumb drive burning a hole in my pocket. The Empire? I donated it, anonymous trust to victims' funds. Properties flipped to co-ops for Gary's ghosts. Vic vanished. Rumors of a monastery in the Rockies. Or a cell in Supermax. Margot fled to Europe. Landon to rehab that stuck. Happy ending? Tragic? Depends on your metric. The Hales crumbled, but the secrets swam free, leaving Chicago's underbelly to wonder, who was the dog? And who the master?
Me?
I bought a cabin up north. Adopted a rescue mutt that looked nothing like Jack's.
Nights.
I fished the lake. Collar's ghost a faint itch. Freedom tastes like quiet. But revenge? It lingers. A debate with no winner. Was I hero? Villain? Or just the fool who thought swapping skins could swap sins? You tell me.